For years, Jungkook has existed in that impossible space between idol and icon, a performer who isn't just famous, but transformative. Every brand he touches, every stage he steps on, every silence he breaks, it changes the rhythm of culture. Yet up until this moment, that power was contained within the limits of what HYBE defined as idol management. That boundary has now been erased. HYBE's new announcement didn't simply adjust Jungkook's schedule or strategy. It redefined his place in the global entertainment structure, giving him a role that transcends traditional control and positions him as something entirely new. A self-driven creative force whose influence now stretches beyond the company that made him. HYBE's statement confirmed that Jungkook would now be operating under a new format, one that gives him full autonomy over his artistic direction, brand collaborations, and future creative projects. This isn't just administrative freedom. It's the kind of independence that only global legends are granted, the type that signals the artist has outgrown the system itself. For Jungkook, this moment marks the transition from being the center of HYBE's empire to becoming an empire of his own. The announcement signals an irreversible change. For the first time, HYBE publicly acknowledged that Jungkook's trajectory no longer fits within the traditional idol business model. He isn't just their artist, he's their partner, their most powerful global asset who no longer needs management as much as he needs alignment. This recognition transforms not only his position inside the company, but also how the entire world perceives his role. He's no longer just the youngest member of BTS, no longer simply the global face of Calvin Klein, no longer just a chart-dominating soloist. He's now an independent cultural architect, someone with the authority to create, choose, and lead without restriction. And that's what makes this announcement so monumental. Because it's not about a new project or a new song, it's about the shift of control. The industry thrives on control. Control over image, output, timing, and narrative. Yet HYBE just gave that control back to Jungkook. It's a sign of respect, but also a sign of inevitability. Jungkook has reached the point where his influence is too large to be directed by corporate structure. The numbers already proved it, from the record-breaking success of Seven and Standing Next to You to his domination of both Korean and US charts. But this announcement is proof that HYBE themselves now understand that Jungkook isn't just one of their biggest artists, he's the backbone of their global reputation. This change means something deeper. Jungkook's career is no longer defined by what HYBE gives him, but by what he chooses to build next. It's the moment when the student surpasses the system. The way HYBE phrased their announcement was subtle. A new era of creative independence. But those words carry an entire shift of power underneath. It's a corporate way of admitting what fans and industry insiders already knew. Jungkook doesn't need to be managed like an idol anymore. He needs to be recognized as a visionary. This moment was coming for years. Every project Jungkook touched carried that dual energy, discipline and rebellion. The perfection of an idol combined with the individuality of a true artist. When he stepped onto the global stage with his solo work, it was clear that he was operating on a different wavelength. He wasn't chasing trends, he was setting them. And when he collaborated with global producers and brands, he did it with precision, not because of label instruction, but because it aligned with his personal creative logic. That's rare in the industry, especially in K-pop, where artists are often molded to fit into an existing system. Jungkook has spent years subtly dismantling that system from within, not through confrontation, but through excellence. Now, HYBE has officially caught up with him. Their announcement doesn't just change his structure, it validates everything he's been proving through action. By giving him creative authority, They're acknowledging that Jungkook has entered the level of artists like global superstars who define eras, not follow them. This moment, therefore, isn't about independence in the legal sense. It's about evolution. HYBE didn't lose Jungkook. They elevated him into a category that no other idol has reached while still maintaining ties with their company. And this shift isn't just about music. Jungkook's career is an intersection of entertainment, fashion, and cultural symbolism. When HYBE confirmed that he would be taking more direct control over his global branding initiatives, including fashion partnerships and production collaborations, it became clear that this wasn't just a management adjustment. This was a business evolution. Jungkook is now more than an artist. He's a brand director of himself. Every move he makes from this point forward will be a reflection of his own design, not a company strategy. What makes this even more powerful is timing. This announcement comes during a period when Jungkook's influence is at its highest. But his visibility has been selective. He's been quiet, deliberate, and minimal, the kind of silence that makes the world watch closer. HYBE's statement broke that silence in the most calculated way possible, using precision rather than volume. They didn't need a spectacle because the news itself was the spectacle. Jungkook is stepping into full autonomy. And for fans, this isn't just inspiring, it's emotional. Because they've witnessed his journey from the youngest member learning choreography under fluorescent lights to the global figure who now commands international campaigns, directs aesthetics, and owns his narrative. The idea that he's finally being given the space to create without boundaries isn't just exciting, it's fulfilling. It's the realization of what he's worked for, not just fame, but freedom. HYBE's announcement also reflects how deeply Jungkook has redefined success. In the K-pop structure, success is often measured in awards, streams, and global tours. But Jungkook's form of success is different. It's quiet control, the kind of success that allows him to dictate his own timing, choose his own message, and decide how much of himself the world gets to see. That level of mastery isn't something a company can grant. It's something earned. HYBE recognized it. And instead of trying to restrict it, they embraced it because Jungkook's evolution benefits them too. Every step he takes toward autonomy amplifies HYBE's own image as a company that adapts, evolves, and understands that the modern artist is also a modern entrepreneur. Still, beneath all the strategy and professionalism, there's something undeniably emotional about this shift. Because for Jungkook, this isn't just a career milestone, it's a personal liberation. For someone who grew up in the public eye, trained within rigid systems, and perfected his art under constant scrutiny, this kind of freedom is monumental. It means that every note he sings, every visual he creates, and every project he pursues will now carry the raw authenticity of his own decisions. That authenticity has always been the secret behind his global connection. People don't just listen to Jungkook, they trust him. And now, that trust will deepen because everything he releases from this point forward will be entirely his own creation. This marks the moment when Jungkook's identity as an artist solidifies into permanence. HYBE's announcement isn't just a business update. It's an acknowledgement of history being made in real time. We are witnessing the transformation of an idol into a full-scale cultural figure, one whose voice, visuals, and creative direction can move industries. Jungkook has now reached a level of influence where his decisions ripple across multiple sectors: fashion, music, and even corporate branding. He's not adapting to trends anymore. He's setting the pulse that others follow. And in a way, HYBE's choice to publicly announce this new structure was also a way of telling the world that they know it too. They're aware that Jungkook is no longer bound by conventional frameworks, and instead of resisting it, they're aligning with it. That's smart, Because in modern entertainment, control isn't about possession, it's about partnership. And with this announcement, HYBE has officially placed Jungkook not under their management, but beside them as an equal creative power. This one announcement, brief, almost minimal in its wording, has become a symbol of everything that's changed. The meaning isn't in the words themselves, but in what they imply. Jungkook has outgrown his category. He's stepping into a domain where only few artists ever arrive, where vision, not structure, defines the future. And that's why this moment feels bigger than any release, any award, or any headline. It's the point where Jungkook's story stops being about success within the system and starts being about the creation of something beyond it. This changes everything for how the K-pop industry operates. Traditionally, idol agencies hold control over their artists, dictating concepts, release schedules, and collaborations. The artist becomes the face of a corporate machine. Jungkook's new role reverses that logic. He's now the machine that powers the brand. He's the blueprint other idols will look to when imagining a life beyond dependency on management. HYBE, by officially acknowledging his autonomy, just opened a door that may never close again. It also reveals something deeper about Jungkook's understanding of influence. Many artists crave independence, but struggle to handle it once achieved. Jungkook, however, has been preparing for this quietly all along. His every move, from his studio discipline to his global outreach, has shown that he doesn't just perform within structure, he builds structure. He's an artist who studies his audience, adapts his visuals, perfects his craft, and knows exactly when to appear and when to retreat. This awareness is what makes him dangerous in the best way possible. He's unpredictable, but always deliberate. HYBE knows that kind of instinct can't be replaced or replicated, and they know trying to control it would only limit it. So, instead of restricting Jungkook, they've chosen to amplify him. This is where business and artistry finally meet, when the company stops operating like a manager and starts operating like a collaborator. For Jungkook, that means full authority to decide what comes next. For HYBE, it means betting their reputation on the most trusted creative mind in modern pop. This announcement doesn't just shift corporate dynamics, it also reshapes fan perception. For years, fans have loved Jungkook as the perfect performer, the one who executes flawlessly. Now, they're seeing him as the architect, the one who builds, plans, and directs. This deepens the emotional connection, because fans don't just support what he releases, they support why he releases it. And now, every decision he makes will be personal, not scheduled. That kind of authenticity is rare. It's what turns artists into legends. But beyond the symbolism, there's strategy here too. Jungkook's autonomy gives HYBE a long-term advantage in a global market that's moving toward personality-driven influence. The modern audience doesn't respond to corporate image anymore, they respond to authenticity. Jungkook embodies that shift perfectly. He's global yet grounded, elite yet relatable, distant yet sincere. And now, with creative freedom, he can channel that balance into projects that don't just perform, they define eras. The next era of Jungkook's career will likely be shaped by this new creative independence. We're going to see projects that carry his fingerprint more clearly, not just in music, but across multiple dimensions of culture. Fashion collaborations, visual storytelling, artistic partnerships, everything will now orbit his perspective. This will allow him to move faster, take more risks, and explore territories that company restrictions once prevented. It's a new phase of creation where instinct and identity lead, not marketing strategy. And that's why this moment is emotional, because Jungkook earned it in silence. He never needed confrontation or public rebellion. He simply kept showing what excellence looked like until control naturally shifted his way. This is what real power looks like: quiet, steady, and unshakable. When HYBE announced the change, they weren't just acknowledging his status. They were admitting that Jungkook's internal discipline has become the company's external success. For Jungkook, this is more than just freedom, it's validation. Every sleepless night in the studio, every moment of pressure, every decision to prioritize quality over quantity, all of it led here. He's now standing in a place few artists ever reach, where his instincts are trusted at the same level as corporate decision-makers. That means whatever comes next will be the truest reflection of his identity we've ever seen. This also represents the final stage of transformation, the evolution from performer to creator. Jungkook has always blurred that line, but now it's official. HYBE's announcement confirms what fans have felt all along. Jungkook isn't following the script anymore, he's writing it. That's a massive statement in an industry that's built on control. It's a moment that says art has finally reclaimed its place above structure. What happens next will define both him and HYBE, because Jungkook's autonomy will test how far individuality can go in a collective-driven business. But judging by his track record, he won't just succeed, he'll expand the limits of what's possible. He'll turn his personal vision into a scalable model for future artists. And in doing so, he'll solidify his legacy as not just the most successful member of BTS, but as the artist who changed how the industry understands freedom.